Okay, I've been told we are live, so we will go ahead and get the town hall started. Those of you who are still out getting coffee, please come on into the sanctuary. Well, thank you for staying with us this morning, either here at church or on YouTube. I'm Kim Zeman, Vice President of the Board of Trustees. This is our first town hall in preparation for our spring 2023 congregational meeting on Sunday, May 21st. Our opening words for this meeting are from Margaret Weiss. The church is not a place, it is a people. The church is not only a steeple above the tree line, streets, and cars. Rather, it is a people proclaiming to the world that we are here for the work of healing and of justice. The church is not walls built stone upon stone, held together by mortar, but rather person linked with person, linked with person. All ages and genders and abilities, a community built on the foundation of reason, faith, and love. So welcome to all of you, the people who make this church. This meeting is designed to help you understand what will be presented for consideration and vote at the spring 2023 congregational meeting, including the candidates for the Board of Trustees, Program Council Chair, the Share the Plate partners, and adopting the 8th principle. For those of you who are newer to the church, we hold 2 congregational meetings per year, one in May and one in December. And at these meetings, the members of the Unitarian Church of Lincoln exercise our democratic process. So this town hall is designed to give all of you the space to consider and ask questions. I will be outlining the voting process for the May congregational meeting towards the end of the town hall. For those of you watching on YouTube, please put your questions into the live chat and we will do our best to answer them. Do I have someone here who is on the live chat? Thank you, Jean. She will be sharing those questions. Please know that there is a bit of delay between your typing and our reading. For those of you in the sanctuary, if you have a question, please raise your hand and our volunteers will bring a microphone to you, or I will repeat it so it's heard by those watching online. And finally, I ask that you give everyone here the grace to make mistakes. We are all imperfect humans, so please be gentle and kind. All right. I will first share the nominees for the Share the Plate for the next church year that we have so far. This list is not complete. Everyone has until the end of today, April 30th, to nominate an organization. Our church selects 10 nonprofit organizations in Lincoln. We have them come and share about their organization, then collect money for those nonprofits. We also try to have an ongoing partnership with those organizations. So in no particular order, the following organizations have been nominated to be a recipient of the Share the Plate for the 2023-2024 church year. The Nebraska Religious Coalition for Reproductive Freedom, Planned Parenthood of Lincoln, the Malone Center, the NAACP Scholarship Fund, Out Nebraska, ACLU Lincoln, Black and Pink, Echo Collective, Southern Heights Food Forest, the Indian Center, Community Crops, Center for People in Need, Friends of Pioneer Park, I've Got a Name, League of Women Voters Education Fund, Fresh Start Home for Women, Little Free Pantries Lincoln, and Voices of Hope. So at our congregational meeting, the top 10 organizations that receive the most votes will be the Share the Plate recipients for the church year. A link listing all the Share the Plate nominees is on our church website under the governance section with more information about each, so if you'd like to review those. And we really appreciate the nominations provided by our church members. And like I said, the list is not complete. So if you have an organization you would like to nominate, the link to nominating that is also on our website. Are there any questions about the Share the Plate and voting for those?
What is the one that has 2 colors listed? I don't know what that is.
Black and pink. there will be more. Does someone here have information about that? And also there is a detailed list of each on the website. Jean will share about that.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that email came to your inbox yesterday with a link to the governance page, which is under members also on the website. Black and Pink, someone asked what that is. As far as I know, it is a group in Omaha that's working to abolish our prison industrial complex.
Okay.
And deadline to submit is today at midnight specifically.
Names for Share the Plate.
Any other questions?
Jean, I had sent you something about Girls Code Lincoln. Oh, okay.
Are there any questions online? Oh, there's a question up here.
Gene, I had also sent you one yesterday, Nebraskans Against Gun Violence, that you should have gotten.
Okay. Any further questions? Are there any questions from the live chat? No? Okay. Well, we appreciate all the nominations provided by our church members, and it just really highlights the engagement with our community, so thank you. Next, Emily Chatillo from the Nominations Committee will share a bit about the Nominations Committee and introduce our candidates for the Board of Trustees and for the Program Council Chair position.
The nomination committee consists of Christy Wamstead, Molly Pazant, Arden Hill, Al Stratman, and myself. Okay. And the nominee for the program council is Marcia Siderdal. You want to come up and tell us a bit about your interest in that position?
Thanks, Emily. Gosh, I was just trying to remember when Ray and I joined the church. Thank you, Jackie. 2020. Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking it was 3 years ago. You know, the pandemic just screwed everything up. But we immediately, I think I just felt at home here. We had attended another church. We're members of another church for a long time. They are still going through some issues. We have a daughter who is gay, and we're very proud of her and her wife and our new grandson. And their principles didn't jive with ours anymore, and it made us really sad. So I got to know Stacy, and we went to dinner with Oscar and Stacy, and I told Oscar kind of my spiritual beliefs, and he said, you know, I think you'd be a good universalist, and handed me the little guide. So I have just loved being a part of it. I did Beloved Conversations online, and growing up very privileged in Lincoln, Nebraska, as a white person, and my father was from the South, and I have lots of memories of some pretty racist things that went on down there. So I am very pleased to say that Ray and I, with our 3 children, worked really hard for them to be kind and compassionate to everyone, and that's what I feel about being here. So I've been on the program council as the cluster leader for the adult education programs, and it's been a joy. So thanks.
Are there any questions for Marcia, either online or here or present? Seeing none, we'll move on. The Board of Trustees, we have 3 candidates, Melanie Vaccaro, Mary Kay Stillwell, and Floyd Wickenkamp. Melanie, would you like to come up first to say a few words?
Good morning. I have been serving on the board for the last year, finishing out Tanya Hayes' term. And I've been so grateful to work under Judy Hart's leadership. I can't believe anyone who wasn't able to do that, you really missed out. I have to say. And I am hoping to receive your vote for an actual term of my own big girl term. I feel all grown up and ready to serve. And I will say I'm really excited for all of the things our church has been doing in the last year. And last year when I was at the same kind of meeting on the same kind of mic, I brought up that this is the kind of church where the change makers in Lincoln land. Anything that is worth doing in this community, someone from this church is probably in a leadership role of that thing. Whatever the thing is, it doesn't matter if it's worth doing, if it's arts, if it's about justice, if it's about culture, if it's about music, if it's about food, we're involved. We're involved somewhere. And I count myself among one of those people. And so I'm just very proud of our church. I'm very proud to represent our church. And I do hope that I get to keep representing our church in the coming years. Thank you.
Does anybody online or here have any questions for Melody? Seeing none, we'll move on to the second candidate, Mary Kay Stillwell.
I'm bringing a cheat sheet in case I forget who I am. Oh. It's funny, when you're a worship associate, it's a role, so it's you, but it's not you, and now I feel very me. Okay, we've been members since March 1st, 2018, so we celebrated our 5th anniversary. We came to I had never heard of this thing called the Unitarian Church until my husband spoke here a number of years ago. And I came then, and he kept nagging at me, this church is for you. I know you, and as I understand the church. So it took him a few years to get me back. But when I came back and I started participating, I knew once again he was right. He's not here, don't tell him. So anyway, I started out as a worship associate here. That was my first committee, and I joined not long after I came. And it was a wonderful way to learn about the church as a church, but also about the people. I got to know a lot of people and participate in a lot of events. I served on the nominations committee 1 year as a cluster liaison. I was on the task force for dismantling white supremacy, the church anniversary committee, which was a wonderful committee. I learned a whole lot about our church during that, 18 months when we did our research and put up the displays. It was a wonderful learning opportunity. I was a member of the reentry task force, which was another exercise in thinking about science, which is outside my normal day-to-day thoughts. I participated in Beloved Conversations Within and Among. And of course, this last summer, I was part of the team that put together the Summer Indigenous program that ended up with our land acknowledgement. So that's sort of where I am in terms of the church. I was born in Omaha, and we lived there until my high school years, and we moved to a farm in Fall City. I went to a Catholic college, women's college in Kansas, and then I went to New York to find my fortune. And so when I was rich enough, I moved back. No, just kidding. still looking for that fortune. I got interested in marketing and communications, and I was the director of communications for New York University and then Long Island University. When I came back to Nebraska, I did some marketing, but I was looking for a new career, and I was fortunate. I got a 6-year fellowship to the university here to get my doctorate. And then I stayed on to teach there. So I've had 2 careers, really, and in the middle, raising our kids. They came in the middle. When they went back to school, I went back to school. Let's see. I think my goals for the community are to continue the rich programming we have. Exploration is part of what we do, and I'd like those programs to continue so that we learn more about our world, and we think more about ourselves in the world so that we can go out and change that world, as we say we were all about. So exploration and action are really the 2 sort of themes of my goal. So that's about it. Yeah, Karen. Yes, I'll pick up our auction items, I promise.
I would have asked Melody, but I've seen her in action already at board meetings. So what do you see as the board's place in the church? What do you see the board as? What should they do? What do you see them as part of our church?
I guess there are sort of 2 big roles, if I can. One is internal and one is external. And one is being a good listener and sort of putting together, collating what people are saying and needing and wanting in their church. And then external, sort of looking around to see what programs we might put in place that answer our needs, that really do help us with our exploration, that do really give us the support and confidence to go out into the world and make for change. Is that where you were? Okay. Jackie.
Mary Kay, you're very modest. I'm going to toot your horn. You're a published author of poetry and of the biography of Ted Kooser. And I just wanted to be sure you knew this is that Mary Kay.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you. Whew, I'm blushing. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Our 3rd candidate is Floyd Wickingham. Floyd?
Good morning. I've been a church member, I think, since 2000. I'm sure they're in records someplace. It's long enough ago, I don't remember. Okay. Nobody has seen me much in the daylight here in the last 12 years or so. I retired, and there wasn't any reason to get up and do anything before noon. So, but I have been active in the men's potluck and the Tuesday afternoon bridge. So I see quite a few people that I do know, and some that I remember from when I was doing things during the daytime. So I'm here because Emily told me I really needed to do this. So I have no particular idea what the board does, but I'm willing to do what I can to make sure things keep running. Beyond that, I don't know that I have much else to say.
Floyd, what did you retire from?
I had been an insurance adjuster doing lots of roof climbing every summer. for about 35 years. And prior to that, I was briefly a police officer.
Any questions for Floyd?
I think
John asked if,
I
John asked.
think I can promise that. An official campaign promise.
Well, Floyd is a great bridge player. Okay, great. Floyd is a great bridge player, and I'm sure he'll make a really good addition to our board. Thank you all.
Have to adjust this because I'm shorter. There we go. Well, thank you so much, Emily, and many thanks to the nominations committee who have worked hard to find our candidates for these positions. And thank you so much for the wonderful candidates. We have such a talented selection of people volunteering to serve in our church. And every one of our candidates has our gratitude for being willing to do this work. Can you please give all these candidates another round of applause? So are there any question about the nominees for the Board of Trustees position or for the Program Council Chair about the election of these at our congregational meeting? Are there any questions on the live chat? No? Okay. All right. So our next order of business is to talk about the minutes for the winter 2022 congregational meeting. At our congregational meeting this spring, we'll be voting on approving these minutes. So those minutes are on our governance page of our website, and Jean did send out a link to those. If you have any edits or comments, please raise your hand to request a mic, and we will also keep track of that on the live stream. If you would like to take some time to look over the minutes further and you do notice some edits, please email myself or Judy or Meg, our secretary, to share those changes, or you may also bring those changes to the next town hall. Are there any suggested edits right now or any questions about that?
And when the congregational meeting is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, our next town hall is next Sunday, May 7th. Judy will be leading that one as it's my oldest daughter's 18th birthday, so I may not be here. And then our congregational meeting is on May 21st. Directly after the service.
I'll ask a question while I'm getting my steps in. Will there be paper copies if people need them?
Yes. If you would like a paper copy, please request that, and we will also have paper copies next week at the town hall.
Okay, my question is, I went to the governance page and I tried to access the Share the Plate nominees, and I think I'm doing something wrong. So can somebody help me with that? Okay, thank you, Jean.
Oh, really, John? You're on the other side of the room. I'm coming.
We needed 2 microphones today.
I know we did, but is
a note for next
No,
week.
I do need my steps. Thank you. That's. I will pay him later. Here you go.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. And this will be old news to Judy. I have a something occurred to me about how we handle the 8th principle, which I think is something we need to take very seriously indeed for a number of reasons. You know, it's going to be one of our principles, and you know, it's a change, and it's a challenge in our culture that we are embracing. A lot of times we just say eighth principle, and it sort of scoots over it, and sort of the word anti-racism or something like that sort of flitters through our heads. I feel very strongly that on every opportunity, that rather than just shorthanded eighth principle, that when we're considering it, that we actually read the principle. It's not that long. Plus, it gives those of us who are blind an opportunity to refresh our memory. So I think it works for everybody, but especially to make it very concrete and to be taken seriously and taken to heart. So,
Thank you so much. And that actually segues into our next part, which is talking about the eighth principle. Are there any other questions about the minutes or any edits? And like I said, if you do notice something reading through those at home, please email Judy or myself or our board secretary, Meg Marion, with those edits and changes. And then you can also bring them to the town hall next Sunday. I do have it up here in my notes. So, yes. All right. Well, actually, the eighth principle is the topic of our next section. So as you are all well aware, at our spring congregational meeting, we will be voting on whether to adopt the eighth principle. And our church has had many conversations, informational sessions, the wonderful service we had today, in events about the eighth principle. And this principle states, we, the member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. So are there any questions about our vote for adopting this eighth principle?
Thank you. My question is, once we adopt this eighth principle within our local congregation, what's the next step, and when when is the timeline for adoption of the eighth principle as Unitarian Universalists nationally?
I'll take that, and if the rest of the Beloved Conversation team can jump in. I think there's over 200 other congregations nationally that have accepted the eighth principle. So they're living with that, with living up to it right now. What does it mean to embrace that? What's going to happen at the GA this summer is there's this discussion of Article 2. And it's Article 2 of the bylaws, right, that get reviewed at the GA every 15 years. Right. There is a possibility through Article 2 that they might dismiss all the principles and start over again. So our job is to accept the eighth principle, adopt it, and live with it until things change. So that's really the next step. We will live our eight principles as deeply as we can. So, Jean. Be talking about Article 2 eventually.
I just thought I'd build on that since Kathy, I believe, asked about timeline of this also. And the soonest that anything will change is 2 years, because the way that the process works at General Assemblies, they make the proposal the first year. If it's voted up, then it gets voted on the second year. So the soonest that Article 2 or any changes would be made to the principles at the national level is basically 2 years from now.
We decided not to mix those two things up, really. I mean, there was a deep discussion about whether we wanted to not talk about the eighth principle, and we thought we really needed to. So, yeah.
Question.
I've been asked by a number of people, what would it say about us if we didn't foster the eighth principle? So I just bring that question from others to you.
Thank you. Up here.
I'd like to respond to that in that, as you can tell from my speech today, this is something I feel pretty passionate about. And I think that this church, with their, helping hands and loving hearts and open minds, who show up. If we don't vote for this, even if it's just for something for our church, our congregation, we are not showing up. That's my feeling.
Thank you, Evelyn. Go back here.
My question is, I know on other topics that were extremely important of this congregation, it had to be a 2/3 vote voting for it and not just a simple majority. Is that how this will be? I don't expect any problem. I mean, personally, I hope not. But I'm just asking because another really important, which I see this as one of the top, that it would, to me, it would make sense that it'd have to be at least a 2/3 majority and not just simple majority.
My brain is scrolling through the bylaws right now, so it's like swim, pull yourself above the surface. We have to look that up. Jean knows.
I'm pretty sure the only part of the bylaws that requires a 2/3 vote is the removal of the minister.
Yeah, I think that's how it's written in the bylaws, but we'll check. Thank you, Karen.
Yes, we will check on that.
Here, John.
Thank you. When we vote, as I understand it, we are voting to affirm support in the sense that we hope and pray and insist that the entire denomination adopt the eighth principle. What is the relationship between that and our commitment to the adoption and the living of the eighth principle? I would hope we would, even in the case of such a incredible catastrophe as it being voted down at GA, I would like to see us carry it forward.
Thank you.
Anybody want to go to that? Do you want to go to that? Save me a few steps, Evelyn.
Yeah, I thought you were getting your steps in today. From what's been said here, my understanding is that we can commit, this congregation can commit to the eighth principle, whether the GA does or not. That's my understanding, because then things change. If we have the eighth principle on our books, even if they shift around all of Article 2, we as a congregation have still made that commitment to those words in the eighth principle. That's my understanding, and I'm seeing head shakes, yes. Okay.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions or comments? Is there anything on the live chat? No? All right. Okay.
I'm just going to have to read it. A comment from the live chat from Judy Kelly. Article 2 might replace all principles, whether 7 or 8. I suggest the current draft of Article 2 be shared with the congregation in advance of our members going to General Assembly in June for the first vote.
And the draft of Article 2 is available online on the UUA website.
And Oscar's going to spend a lot of time on that when he comes back. We decided he needed to be the one talking to us about Article 2.
Great. Well, our next step is to talk about the structure of the spring congregational meeting. So the congregational meeting will be on May 21st here in the sanctuary around 11 o'clock after the service at 11:15. Thank you. And it'll be in person and on the YouTube live stream. The items that we'll be voting on are the approval of the winter 2022 congregational meeting minutes, the candidates for the open Board of Trustees positions, the new program council chair, the share the plate nominees, and the 8th principal. We will also hear reports from our board president, the program council chair, the treasurer, the director of religious growth and learning, and our music director. The spring congregational meeting is a time that we get to hear about many of the remarkable things that have happened in our church over the church year. We will not have a report from our minister this spring since Oscar's on sabbatical, and he gave his report at the winter meeting. Finally, the unsung UU for the year will be revealed. Every year we celebrate someone from our church community whose actions inspire, support, and express Unitarian Universalism in the Lincoln Church and in our community. We are still taking nominations for our unsung UU through the end of today, April 30th. So, before we discuss how voting will take place, are there any questions about what we've shared today and what we will vote on at our May meeting? Come on up, Evelyn.
I assume that the vote is going to be online again. Is that correct? Okay.
So because of our multi-platform format, not everyone will be in the sanctuary, and to give everyone a voice, we will be voting online again as we have been doing for the past few congregational meetings. So immediately following the congregational meeting, you'll receive an email from the church office with a link to the Google form ballot. So if you need to update your email address and realm, please do so soon so you get the ballot. There'll be instructions on the Google form ballot on how to vote, and so please follow those instructions carefully. And once you are done with your voting, you'll click the submit button and it'll go to the church office for counting. For those of you who do not have electric means of voting or do not wish to vote online, we do have the option of a paper ballot. So please let the church office know. Jean, did I just?
You took the words out of my mouth. I heard some grumbling. I wanted to make sure people knew that there are paper ballots available. And there was something else. I can't remember what the other thing was.
I thought you were going to sneeze.
So only church members in good standing may vote, those who have signed the membership book and have made a pledge for this year. And then you will have 48 hours after you receive the email to complete your voting. And the results will go out in the Friday e-blast after the meeting. Jean?
Sorry to interrupt, but it is important. Kim said something about updating your email in Realm, which is definitely, we want you to do that. But if you update your email in Realm, it does not automatically update it in MailChimp. So we will not know that you did that. In other words, if you want to make sure that you get the virtual voting emails and all of our emails, you really need to let us know in the office so we can actually make that change in MailChimp.
All right, so if you need to update your email, please contact the church office also. So, are there any questions regarding the voting process? All right, well, thank you for your grace and patience and time today. We will have one more town hall on May 7th, and Judy will be leading that. And then I hope to see you all on May 21st for our congregational meeting. So our closing words today are from Kathy A. Huff. Our time in this place may have ended, but our connection to each other and this community remain. Together, may we walk the path of justice, speak the words of love, live the selfless deed, trod gently upon the earth, and fill the word with compassion. Until we meet again, blessed be. Thank you all so much. We are adjourned.